I was brought up in a culture where preaching and music coexisted together.
I like that.
And so, I don't know, something in me started to stir about music when I was in my late teens, early 20s, started to write music, got into pastor and kind of put it down for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, yo, 𝗪𝗲𝗹𝗃 here, and I'm hanging out with Gospel Music Buzz. Check out our latest interview.
Here in the heart of Brooklyn. We're here with 𝗪𝗲𝗹𝗃 and Selah Sound at the WellDone listening party, man. Listen, man, we got the energy. I showed up. The energy was already on fire.
Is it already there?
The energy was there already. But quick little intro, y'all. We're sitting here with someone that is not only a pastor of one of the fastest growing churches here in Brooklyn, but also he's just stepped out, got the new single out, available everywhere. You listen to music. WellDone, it's here. What's going on, Brandon? How are you, man?
Sherwin, it's so good to meet you. It's an honor to be on Gospel Music Buzz and having this conversation. So excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, typically we like to talk to all those that are buzzing.
Okay.
And we've been seeing you popping up everywhere. I saw you at the BMI. You were there with the fits. The fits is fire at the BMI. Then we saw some videos here, some clips there, and started to really just buy into the vision, understanding, doing our research, trying to understand really who, 𝗪𝗲𝗹𝗃, who Selah Music is. And I'm really happy that we're here talking. So just, give us a little bit of a background. Everyone is seeing you now, but I know, you've been serving your community. You've been doing a whole lot of things before we're now getting a taste of you. So let's give us a little bit about who 𝗪𝗲𝗹𝗃 is.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, a servant of the Lord Jesus Christ. That's where I find my identity, and from there, everything else makes sense for me. Also a husband of my wife 𝗪𝗲𝗹𝗃, and father of two boys, Brandon and Jaden. That's my first ministry, and from there, I get to pastor an amazing church called Epiphany Church here in Brooklyn, New York. Started the church in 2015, launched it in 2016. So we've been going now strong for about 9 to 10 years. And church is amazing, about 92% in our 20s, very young church, 3 services, about to go to 4 because we just cannot fit anybody.
Did you say 4?
Yeah, and here's the crazy part. We actually meet in 2 spaces of our church because we just don't have enough room. But it's
that's a good problem to have. That's a good problem.
It's a good problem. Nevertheless, it's still a problem. We want to gather safely, and so sometimes it doesn't feel safe. But from there, we launched into doing music, and it's been something that has been a part of my childhood. And my mother played the piano in the churches we were a part of. My father was a Baptist minister in the churches we were at. And so anyway, I was brought up in a culture where preaching and music coexisted together.
I like that.
And so I don't know, something in me started to stir about music when I was in my late teens, early 20s, started to write music, got into pastor and kind of put it down for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then jumped back into it, man. Really into 2023, 2024, got a group together called Selah Sound. Got some band members together, started to write music, which is where I feel like the Lord has really pushed my hardest to really write original music that's theologically rich. That's the biggest thing for me is the content. It's not just about the chords. It's not just about the vibe and the bounce. It's about that content. Is this going to edify? Is this going to glorify Jesus Christ? And so that's a little bit about me.
Wow. And you said a few different things there, but you mentioned even just kind of transitioning when you started, you launched out the collective, Selah Sound.
Yeah.
What made you choose the name? Because I'm big on names. Because we were talking before that my son and your son share the same name, and you even mentioned the spelling.
And the spellings are the same.
It's the same. Yeah. So I'm big on names. So what made you go with that name?
Yeah, so Selah came up for me. We went through we do book studies here at the church on Sunday mornings, and I took the church through the book of Habakkuk, one of 2 places between Habakkuk and Psalms. There's only places in the Bible that you see that refrain, Selah, which means to pause and think. Pause and think about whatever it is that the writer was just saying. So for music, it's actually a music refrain for a song. So for us, we were like, man, this is a good this is a good name, because what we want to do is we don't want to just sing songs. We want to stop and reflect on the person we're singing about. And so that's where Selah came in. Sound really for me is more of there's a specific sound that Selah has. And we were kind of talking off camera. That sound is kind of a retro going back into the 80s and 90s, but trying to make it make sense for 2025. And so, Selah is the refrain. Sound is, man, there's a unique sound we're trying to put out into the world. So that's where it came up at.
Wow, that's a great explanation. It's always good as folks are listening to the music, thinking about it, understanding the story that sort of just goes along with it.
Yeah.
And new music is out right now. Well done. So
Come on.
you in the studio, you're writing, you're recording,
Yeah.
you're doing all of that. But on a release day, and now folks are going to be able to just come together and celebrate and hear it live, and all that. Like, what are you feeling right now, knowing that this is now out into the world? It's no longer in a rough draft. It's no longer just for the friends and the family to hear. But it's out there. Like, what are you feeling right now?
Excitement, joy, gratitude, humility, like all of it. I have a lot of mixed emotions. I was talking to our manager, Hassan James, about it last night. It was like, man, I just feel like a ball of emotions. Wow. And I want every single emotion to give God glory. And so I've been really processing that today as we drop this single. And if you don't have it, you need to go. It's on all digital platforms. Go get the song. But that song was written by myself along with Rob Bennix, this guy named Robert Bennix, and our musical director of Selah Sound. His name is 𝗪𝗲𝗹𝗵. And it honestly, man, we don't sing enough songs about what's theologically called eschatology, about the end times. We just don't sing enough songs about them. We used to. When I grew up, there was always a song about hell and heaven. There was always a sermon about hell and heaven. Now it's, if we're not careful, we lend into helps but man, it's something about gazing into heaven. You know, Paul says in Philippians 1:27, to live is Christ, but to die is gain. And so there's something about that next. And so well done is, man, standing at that judgment seat, and the Lord saying, well done, not because we did well, but because he did well and we believed in the one who did well.
Ooh, wait a minute. This man is just flowing, man. It's not just because he did well, we did well.
It's what it is, man.
I like it.
I believe that wholeheartedly, man. A lot of us are striving to attain what Jesus has already attained on the cross. So for me, I don't try to work for favor. I work from it. You know, I rest in it. And it makes well done sound even sweeter when you know that well done is because Jesus has secured it for us, man.
But even speaking on well done, like, you know, a lot of times growing up, we heard the phrase, you know, you want to hear well done, good and faithful servant. And we just say, but if you stop and pause, like for you, what does that mean for you personally?
Yeah. For me personally, it means two things. Number one, of course, it points me to my Savior Jesus, right? That's first and foremost.
Of course.
But even from there, it also makes me, as he says, just as I'm holy, you also be holy. So it makes me now want to strive not to attain his favor, but like this is what I was saying when I was saying I want to work from it. And so now I really want my family to say well done, right? I want my friends to say well done, that I have integrity and I have character. And so, it's that those two words are very profound if you dig deep enough into them.
Wow. Yeah. And new single is out today, but you didn't just release and record a single, but there's a bigger project behind all of this. So you can touch a little bit on the name of that project, release time frame you're looking at for that project, and then, you know, just the flow. We're hearing the word Brooklyn Bunks, we're hearing 90s, we're feeling it as we're listening to it. So there's a lot of thought that was put into just creating this song by still paying homage, but also putting your own twist, your own touch on it. So talk about it, the project that's forthcoming.
I'm so excited. Thank you, Sherwin, for asking about the project, because this well done single is definitely a part of a larger body of work. We have 10 songs on the album. The album is actually called Rewind, live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And the reason it's called Rewind is because we are intentionally trying to rewind back to that nostalgic gospel sound. There are moments in this album where you're gonna, if you close your eyes long enough, you'll picture yourself walking into a church and there's a choir with robes on and they're just bouncing and singing. And that was the goal, is to try to recapture some of some of that old, some of my favorites. I put this out on social media. I got some flack for my top 5. I won't go through the top 5, but I grew up on Milton Brunson. You know, I grew up on Bishop Hezekiah Walker, which for me is like the standard of gospel, in my opinion, of gospel choir music. And so a lot of the sound is a nod to how I grew up, and you know, just a hat tip to how I grew up. And I think it got lost. I love the music that is out now. I really do. I love all genres of gospel, from CCM to, there's even trap gospel, right? Like, you know, gospel rap. I love all of it. What I want to introduce and be a part of is that nostalgic 80s, 90s that also makes sense in 2025.
I'm really glad that you even, you know, mentioned some of the greats, you know, as I was going through and even reading about it. You even called out, you know, John P. Key. You called out so many of them.
100%.
But do you now feel though, you know, like when you're putting music out like that, and there's like this intentionality that has to go into it, now it's going to be released and out there. You have a very young church, right? A lot, you were mentioning earlier that, you know, the population from young people, you know, 21 and younger for a good 90%, which is something that's unheard of. But what I'm curious to know is that when you're putting music out, you're singing it in the church, how are the young people gravitating to that type of music?
You know what's interesting? So we kind of soft launched Rewinding Back by doing hymns in our church. So we sing a lot of different styles, but on a Sunday morning, I will get up and just bust out in a hymn. And most of the members in the church don't know the hymn. But I feel like it's my responsibility as this kind of in between two different generations to bridge that gap and to make sure that that younger generation knows that, man, there is power in these old songs and this old sound. And so I think they gravitate towards it. I'm looking at the response now of the album when we recorded it, and man, it's a really good response from our younger generation that's now consuming this music that we probably grew up on. I put you in my age grade. My age.
Definitely. No, I mean, I know we're probably gonna be, you know, we gotta get you on that stage. We know what's going on in a second, but just, you know, just final words for your fans, you know, who are just now hitting play on WellDone for the very first time. They're not gonna go hit play. They're gonna go to their DSPs. They're gonna go to something somewhere. They're gonna hit up the video that's on YouTube. They're gonna go, you know, they're gonna go through all that. But as they're hitting play for the first time, what is it you want them to know that you were, you know, conveying with that, and what you want them to take away from that before we go?
You know what, man, I feel like the Lord really is birthing this in my heart. I don't know how to put this into like a theological framework, but I think a lot of times with evangelism, which I'm hoping that this album does lend to that as well, lost people hear about Jesus. But I realize that sometimes what they need is just to see us having fun in Jesus. And I think when you hit play, you will see young people. Selah Sound is a young group. You will see young people that are actually having fun in Jesus and singing songs about him and worshiping him. And there's points where of the album that that repentance is necessary. There's a song on the album called "Thank You," and it's talking about how we've messed up and we've broken our covenant and our vows with the Lord, and yet He still pursues us. So I think when you hit play, you're gonna dance, you're gonna clean the house, you're gonna cry, you're gonna worship. I think all of those things are gonna come together, and by the time you get to the end, to the last song, which is called "When We Get There."
Wow! Listen, WellDone is out right now. Rewind coming June 13th.
June 13th,
June 13th. That's coming, releasing through TRIBL Records. Which
TRIBL Records. Shout out to TRIBL
Records. Which is big. I'm telling you, man, you're just setting the standard of just excellence out of the door. And I also have to congratulate you just on branding. I'm big on branding, and sort of seeing from the photography to the single cover, the album cover, color, consistency, text, everything. I'm sitting there and I'm just
it's a team, man. It's not me. Shout out to our creative team.
The team. Yeah. But every team also have visionaries that there that understand what you're putting out to saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking. So you guys are doing a great job, man. Thank you so much. Let the people know where they can follow you and just, you know, get everything that's happening.
Instagram is the best place, B_Watts with a Z. You can find us there. You can also go to Epiphany Brooklyn's Instagram. That's a good place to find us. I'm always over there. And then our YouTube, Epiphany Brooklyn's YouTube is a good place to find me.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
good to see you, man.
Appreciate you, man. Of course.
All right.